Folks, all hour, we're going to be talking openly and honestly about race. You know, it seems every day that there's another example of racism in the news, but are some of these stories overblown? What's the real takeaway behind the headlines? So I've assembled a diverse panel to weigh in on some of the latest trending headlines related to race. First, author and commentator Katie Keefer. Then editor of the blog Conservative Black Chick is Crystal Wright. Next, from MTV's Guy Code and IFC's Bender, comedian Chris DiStefano.
Nailed it.
Got it all day,
Bang.
baby. That's the comedian thing, the special connection there. Then it's CNN's legal analyst, Sunny Hostin.
Thank you.
And finally, CNN contributor and former South Carolina State Representative, Bakari Sellers. Welcome to the show. A recent study shows more than half of all Americans believe that race relations have gotten worse under President Obama's leadership. It was white and Hispanic respondents who were more likely to say things have gotten worse. But what do you say? Have racial tensions risen with Obama, Crystal?
Yes, they have. I think it was a great day when President Obama got elected in 2008. I remember calling my mother. She was in tears because she grew up in the segregated South in Richmond. And she said, honey, I never thought that I would see this day. And my mother, started breaking down. At the same time, he kind of used his race as a novelty to get elected. But then when he got elected, he's like, oh, they hate me because I'm black. So I think you can't have it both ways. I would like the president, I think he has tried to forge a discussion on race, but I feel like there are a lot of people that can't participate in the discussion.
Katie.
With regard to this topic, on the issue of Trayvon Martin, he came out before we had any of the facts, and he took a side, and he said that Trayvon Martin could have been his son. Well, we found out shortly after, through eyewitness accounts and expert testimonies, that Trayvon Martin had in fact mounted George Zimmerman in an MMA-style mount, was grounding and pounding and pummeling him, and actually had attempted to reach for Zimmerman's weapon before Zimmerman shot in self-defense. So I would say that he shouldn't have gone out and done that because he divided our country when he was the first biracial president to have the opportunity to bring us together.
Can I comment?
Are you next?
Can I please comment?
I'm glad this one skips me. Yeah.
The only reason I'd like to comment...
I ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, but see,
I ain't gonna make it.
Let me just respond.
Yeah, but don't...
Let me just respond in the sense that everyone is entitled to their opinion. I will tell you that I was in the courtroom of the George Zimmerman trial every single day. And I can tell you that the reason that is the narrative is because the person that gave that narrative is George Zimmerman. The other person is dead. So we don't really know what happened.
No,
the other thing that I'd like to say, the other thing that I think is important to mention is because as a reporter, I've been on the ground for CNN. I've been in Ferguson. I've been in Baltimore. I've been in Sanford. I've been in too many Sanfords. I've been in Charleston. This is not a made-up issue. The issues affecting people of color, African Americans in these communities,
who said it was a made-up issue?
Racism is alive and well. It is real. And so for the president of the United States, as the leader of our country, to get in front of this and talk about race was a pivotal moment for our country. We needed that leadership. And I might add that no one criticized John F. Kennedy when he talked about race at pivotal moments in our country. Yet people have taken President Obama to task for what I thought was an incredible sign of leadership.
Okay, Bakari.
Let me just take it in a different tact and just, racism has not gotten worse under Barack Obama. And let me explain to you why that's the answer. February 8th, 1968, there were students at South Carolina State University who decided they were going to protest the All-Star Bowling Alley in Orangeburg, South Carolina. After they protested, South Carolina State troopers lined up along the embankment, and they fired into the group of students, and they killed 3, Henry Smith, Samuel Hammond, and Delano Middleton, and wounded another 28. One of those people wounded was my father. He also ended up going to prison. He served time on death row. He was in jail for 8 months just so he could have the opportunity and those around them could have the opportunity to bowl. That was real racism. George Wallace, that was real racism. That was real bigotry. We ain't there no more. okay? And I understand that we've made progress, but we still have yet a ways to go. You have people who are able to go home now after they fight for their rights, whereas you're just a little bit older than me, Steve, but in your generation, you didn't have that opportunity. No. People were literally losing their lives every day. 4 girls in Birmingham. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
And it isn't too far in the, in the past. My father mentioned to me, you are the first generation in our family that has full civil rights. So to suggest somehow that racism just popped up and is getting worse because of President Obama, I don't think that's the case. I think the Band-Aid was.
But I think the question was, has racism getting worse? And I think it wasn't like saying that my mother and father went through during the civil rights era, and Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King losing his life, and the girls in the church in Alabama. Nobody's minimizing that. I think what Katie artfully said, that everybody wanted to marginalize her point of view, is that the president has come out many times when young black men are slain in circumstances where a trial and jury has not made up their mind. He's come to their defense, and that immediately divides our country. Right. He did not come to the defense of Kate Steinle. And just because you were at a trial, witnesses testified, Sonny, at the trial that you covered. You're a jury of George Zimmerman never testified, so you misrepresented that fact.
Right, but here's the problem. Let me say this. The people in politics, they made a concerted effort before he was ever inaugurated that they're going to shoot down everything he does. So the statement he made in the initial election where he wanted to reach across the aisle, there was no chance of that ever happening.
But I think this is just the problem. It's like right now, whenever we have a different opinion about Obama's policies, and immediately it becomes this divisive discussion that, oh, it's because he's black, it's because he's black. And you know what? That is not why. The president doesn't want to work with the opposing party. He says, oh, I'm going to just use executive order. Like illegal immigrations need amnesty. I'm going to grant it.
Well, I think he has reached across the aisle many times only to get his hand slapped. I think it's happened like that.
Just to be brief, the president still has succeeded in spite of. And I think that's the most amazing thing. Our country was on the brink of, and now we're on the brink of moving forward.
Well,
and you're right. Mitch McConnell, the first thing Mitch McConnell said is that he ain't gonna pass nothing.
Right. You know what? Really, I think when it's all over with, I think when this presidency is done, history will mark this guy as really an incredible president of this country. Hey, listen, we're just getting started. We got plenty more headlines to get to next. Can I tell you something? I appreciate all of you. I really, really do. Thank you for coming. We'll be right back.